Fala, carioca, tu tá no Hortifruti ou tá no Samuca Filme? Hein, carioca, me manda o número do Samuel aí, por favor. É porque eu tenho uma mercadoria pra chegar pra mim do Sobral, cara, e vai vir na Topic, e não tem como eu ir buscar agora, e o cara não falou com o motorista pra deixar no posto de gasolina aí pra de tarde eu ir buscar. Aí o Samuel estando lá na loja, eu falo com ele, ele fala com o cara da Topic deixar lá pra mim. Valeu? Valeu, obrigado, garoto.
Fiquem alertas. O objetivo Charlie foi perdido. O inimigo agora controla todos os objetivos.
Valeu, carioca. Depois eu passo lá pra comprar umas frutas lá, valeu?
Oi? 3 propaganda, mas é menos, né? Bom dia. Mas é menos do que coisa. Vai comprar meu controle. Controle que eu comprei, R$ 20. Que horrível. Pega nada. Ah, no cu. Tem dinheiro à toa. Botei o futebol pra jogar o 2023. Controle horrível, horroroso. Puxando pro lado. Ó, a lojinha aí na frente ali.
Precisamos capturar e manter o máximo de
Só é ruim de
objetivos
jogar
possíveis.
essa hora. Meu Gustavo, banana. Porque é bom que marca logo o mal. No modo hardcore não. Quantas pessoas tem? 3x3. Tem pix não, né? Se ferrar.
Agora tomamos o objetivo Baker.
Esperar a Twitch me pagar. Acho que ela já tomaram lá do outro lado. Cadê a porra, cara? Se que eu abrir uma loja de fruta não rende nada. Só estraga. Me lasquei.
O inimigo atacou primeiro.
Tá trabalhando? Não. Não trabalha mais. Tá em casa agora. Passando a porra do.
Bom trabalho.
Uma porra
Tomamos
do
o
tanque
objetivo
aqui.
Charlie.
É, aquilo é um carro blindado inimigo!
Não passou. Se puder vir um comigo aqui, então blindado aqui. Tem algum engenheiro aí? Blindado aqui. Tem help. Thank you. Tô de boa hoje, feriado faz. Tá trabalhando de que agora? Trabalhando de que agora? Olha lá o Suki. Sumido, hein? Bom dia, cara. Ela fez 40, hein? Esquece tudo. Fazer live só um pouquinho, daqui a pouco vou ter que sair. Por que tá sumido? Agora que eu tô falando live direto não aparece, né? Um dia jogar isso aqui é uma merda, fala sério. Tem ninguém, cara, pra jogar. Todo mundo trabalhando. Vai jogar os vagabundos. Tem ninguém aqui, cara. Se tivesse alguém, eu tava forçando aqui a bandeira. Tem ninguém nessa bandeira. Se tivesse ela dividindo a bandeira. Tem dois caras no mapa. Vai, Dan. Ah, tá no Uber, né, Leandro? Tá sempre aqui, Suki? Eu sei. Cara, que susto. Falei, cara, tem um cara deitado do meu lado. Não, eu mesmo. Porque o boneco, ele vai fazendo as curvas lá.
Agora tomamos o objetivo, Dog.
Ele vai virando o corpo. Conforme vai fazendo movimento, ele vai... Não é anaconda lá. Não vai se rastejando pro lado não, ele vai virando o corpo. Os caras aqui no caso é pelado. Esse jogo aqui de manhã é foda. Tanto ele como o BF4. Não é pra jogar não. Vou ficar certo o poste. Apertei. 30 metros. Vamos ver aqui, 200 metros. 200 metros de distância. Vamos ver se acerta o vidro. Acertou. 200 metros. Nós vamos botar aqui no V. Fazer o teste. Isso aqui não muda não. A K não muda não. Certinho. Deixa eu pular aqui e ver se eu morro. Caraca, não abriu paraquedas ainda, viu? Se for o pneu. Furou o pneu. Não sabia disso não. Ah, olha. Vai dar bom. Furar o pneu dos veículos. Esse fura mesmo. Não nada. Ah, que merda, o jogo não tem ninguém. Deixa eu ver aqui.
Ficou sim, mano, ficou sim. Até na moto, faz hora. Desde onde?
Segurar. Suki, tem um joguinho aqui maneirinho, quer ver só? Vou mostrar. Esse jogo aqui é maneiro. Só que eu tenho medo de jogar ele. Mas ele é maneiro. Liga só nesse jogo. Só que eu tenho medo de jogar ele. É porque eu não sou muito pai de fundo do mar não, tá ligado? Tem o meu traumazinho de água. Traumazinho não, traumazão mesmo. Um dia que eu joguei, ó. Agora eu não sei qual que é aqui. Não sei se é o primeiro. Vamos ver no primeiro. Cara, não é terror não, é água. É pior ainda. Os terror daí. Essa piada consegue ser pior que o terror. Só que eu não sei mais o que é pra fazer. Cara, eu lembro que eu perdi isso aqui, ó. Tem alguma coisa errada. Tá vendo? É água. Pior que terror. Tem alguma coisa errada. Eu tinha perdido esse carrinho. Na expedição que eu fui. Agora eu tenho que me orientar aqui. O que eu tenho que fazer? Tá vendo? Ó, isso aí é tudo mal. Ó. Eu tenho medo. Ficou de noite. Falando sério, ó, o jogo é todo assim. Tá ligado? Eu não tenho culhão pra jogar esse jogo aqui não. Pra falar a verdade. Cara, eu nem lembro mais como é que joga. Não tenho ideia. Vamos ver aqui. Eu nem lembro mais o que tem que fazer. Ah, bagulho de copiar a tela, nada a ver. Tem uma bateria, duas baterias, tem uma bateria pequena. Então, outra coisa que eu fiz aqui que eu nem sei o que tem aqui dentro. Não sei mais nada que ele faz aqui. Não sei mais o que é pra fazer. Não tem medo de água não? Alvejante. Por isso aqui é se fazer alguma coisa. Cadê o negócio de fazer as coisas? Esqueci aqui. Água desinfectada. Tá na idade do lobo? O que é isso? Tá na hora de começar as caçadas. O que é isso? Caçada. Caçada é essa? Como assim? Não tô entendendo. Tá quebrando a árvore e não tá vindo nada pra mim. Não tô entendendo nada, tá dizendo. Tô entendendo nada mesmo não, pô. Nossa, aí eu não tô entendendo não. Tô fora de. Tô em órbita. Legal. Vou explicar isso aí direitinho. Tô em órbita. Órbita. Vai, tem um bicho ali fora, cara. Sério. Escolhe por opção. Aqui não morre não. Esse bicho aqui não morre. Por que ele tá assim? Esse bicho aqui não morre não. Por que ele ficou assim? Caralho, cara de cu do caralho, olha lá. Até uma cabeça de uma piroca com olho. Não parece? Olha lá. Esse amor é tão lindo e eu só penso em você. Caralho, falar que não parece mentiu. Vou salvar aqui. Não vai salvar não, né? O jogo não salva. Sacanagem.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
O bicho é de chatão. Esse pulo, meu Deus. A Toby tá afim de jogar esse jogo aqui não. Esse jogo aqui me dá uma nostalgia ruim. Não vou jogar não. Então vai começar a entrar gente aí, mandando fazer as coisas, eu não tô muito afim não. É um troço ruim se jogar esse jogo aqui não. O diabo não é comigo não. Não consigo, vou fazer o quê? Aí. Sei lá, pô. Eu não gosto de fundo do mar não. Fundo do mar não é comigo não, filho. Yes. Mas esses bichos aí, tem uns bichos estranhos pra caralho aí. Uma tração ruim. Eu prefiro jogar um jogo de terror. Esse aqui, ó. Esse aqui eu jogo de boa. Ele não dá não. Olha. É não, me assusta. Ah, é estranho, cara. Negócio de água, sei lá. Tu anda num negócio tudo escuro. Uma maquinazinha, de repente. Parece um bicho, um peixe do nada. Pô, você tá doido? Tá maluco. Água não é comigo, não dá não, pô. Tu joga assim, o coração fica acelerado. Um jogo de terror não, um jogo de terror até dá. Ligado? Mas aquilo ali, negócio de água. O bagulho é estranho, é um chato. Um negócio. Eu tava jogando, que eu tava jogando esse jogo aí, eu joguei bastante. Eu peguei, sei lá, tinha 10 pessoas, 9 pessoas assistindo a live. Tá ligado? Aí o pessoal saíram, foram saindo aos poucos. Eu parei de jogar, né? Aí se eu voltar de novo a jogar, o povo vai voltar. É melhor não, entendeu? Não vou ficar iludindo ninguém, não. Nem pagando eu jogo aquilo ali. Jogo assim, fico ali perto da base, entendeu? Fazendo nada, só ali na base. Marolando a mente. Enrolando, que não eu tava fazendo, eu ficava mais enrolando por ali, entendeu? O pessoal achava que eu tava jogando, mas mesmo eu tava enrolando. A verdade era essa. Cidade de Natal. Segue espaço para desbloquear esta coleção. Vamos ver se a gente desbloqueia. Ixi, tem um ponto para desbloquear. Não sabia disso não. Zona dos conflitos aqui. Perfeição. Isso aqui é maneiro, essa parte aqui. Arte concentrada. Né? Galeria de modelos. Vamos ver aqui. É nada, estava interessado era no jogo mesmo, que eles eram viciados na porra do jogo. Eu tava até mandando eu comprar o 2. Entendeu? Olha que eu comprei. Faltou, sei lá, pouco. Ainda bem que eu fui essa besteira de querer comprar o 2. Porque. Bem mascarado. É, suspeito. São os bichos que surgiram. É pra comprar, ó. Isso aqui é macabro. Vou comprar esse aqui. Tu é doido. Ó, que coisa feia. Meu Deus, é muito coisa. A pose do Napoleão Bonaparte. Pose da morte. Isso aqui também é foda. Ixi, travou o jogo. Ah, o jogo travou, viado. Essa aqui, ó. Essa aqui é foda. Vamos ver isso. Ih, o cara faz bem perfeito, né, cara? Ah, cara. Sabe o que que é isso aí? Sabe o que que é esse vírus aí? Você só assistiu a série toda? Eu assisti. Então tá, tu assistiu a série, né? Assisti. Sem gração, pô. Chegou no final, ele mentiu pra ela. Vamos ver esse aqui. Essa aqui passa até meu ovo, cara. Uma depressão. Olha o meu ovo. Eu assisti a série toda. Muito boa. Gostei muito do final, não, mas terminou do nada. Ai, que coisa feia, cara. Quanto mais tu avança, mais coisa fica. Será que ele tem um olho no cu, no olho? Olho no cu, no... Ah, no cu não tem, né? O olho, né? Por quê? É pra ter um olho no olho, né? Isso aí tá fudido. Aí, ó. Cheio de crista de galo, sífone. Fudido, enfim. Pra quem tá com muito de olho, tava faltando um olho bem ali no meio. O que eles fizeram aqui na frente? Botaram uma pelugem velha ali com dois olhos. Olha o ovinho lá embaixo. Olha lá, tá vendo o ovinho? É um olho também. Ele não caga não, ele é controlado pela... Tu tá ligado que ele é controlado... Caralho, é muito real. Ele é controlado pela... Aí, cara. Ele é controlado pelos fungos, né, cara? Fungos que controla. Não é um vírus, não, é um fungo. O fungo não deixa ele morrer. Deixa ele no estado de... Ele consegue... Ah, tá ligado, né? O cara controla no início lá, né? Ele consegue controlar os bichos, né? Vamos ver isso aqui. Vamos gastar o dinheiro todinho aqui nessa porra. Ah, garotinha. Ele consegue controlar o corpo da pessoa, né? Pô, eu queria salvar no meu computador, não tem como não? Vou botar lá. Proteção de tela, sei lá. Mas tudo era proteção de tela. Agora ninguém mais usa proteção de tela, né? Acho que elas são bem elaboradas, ó. É tipo umas árvores saindo das costas da cabeça. Sabe o que é que eu abro? Eu falei. Abriu um monte. E aqui vocês têm mais interessante. Mas. É, parece um pé de galinha mesmo. Vamos voltar na planície. Tchurururururu, jogou até o canto. Pouco eu vou sair, por 10h30, 11 horas. Modificação do jogo. Como assim? Modificação do jogo. Entendi. Ah, munição infinita, fábrica de infinito. Alcance infinito de modo. Ah, ridículo. Veja seus recordes de modo Speedrun. Não. Bastidores. Não, bastidores? 59 minutos. Não sabia disso não, sabia? Pra assistir o filme?
Sarah.
Ele tá aparecendo nada. Vou buscar o moleque. Daqui a pouco, 11 horas. Aí vou almoçar ou dar uma descansada. Vou lá passar lá na loja.
Hello?
Sarah, honey, I need to get your daddy on the phone.
Uncle Tommy, what time is it?
I need to talk to your dad now. There's something.
Hello?
Cadê o vídeo?
Dad? Here you
Ai,
are.
moço.
Sarah, are you okay?
Eu acho que não tem vídeo,
What's going
não.
on?
It's the Coopers. Something right with them. I think they're sick.
What kind of sick?
Ah, os vídeos aqui, ó.
Jimmy, just stay back! Jimmy,
Por errado. O vídeo é de cima. Podcast. Podcast é o quê? Só música? Falando? Tem uma hora que eu sou burro. Filme seguindo o documentário de criação do Teleste. Para apresentar o máximo terminando. E o 2? Já foi lançado o 2? Fazer um podcast.
Making the new IP is how can I put it? It's just don't do it.
Vê isso aqui.
It's insane. I mean, it's a very difficult process. You have more questions than you have answers, especially when you come from like you've been making Uncharted 1.
Ele fez o Shard 1 e 2?
Now like things are going, you just kind of like good momentum, and then suddenly that momentum like just drops. It stops.
Sabia que era podcast, não. Sabia que podcast eram as pessoas conversando com outras. Não sabia que era som.
It's a very
Nunca peguei,
challenging
nunca
process
botei
to
pra
create a new
traduzir.
IP, and
Significado.
you're gonna fail over and over again, but that's what it takes.
New IPs are really hard. They're hard because you don't know what's fun yet.
Parte 2 mais um
New
filme,
tech,
no jogo, né?
Establishing new characters, new art, all this. You don't get to get that controller in your hand for like 6 months to a year.
You don't know what it is yet. I remember like ages ago coming on the project and what are the infected gonna do? Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna behave like this. I'm like, okay, we're like trying to imagine what's gonna happen. Fast forward like 4 months, they don't do that at all because it didn't work, right?
It's hard mode, right? Like it's game development
On
on
market.
on expert.
There's a big thing
Ah,
about
2025, você não
só
tá ao vivo.
You get your first build where everything's working. You got player mechanics. You can walk around the world. You can shoot. You can melee attack people. You've got the AI in there. They're very intelligent, very difficult, and it's totally not fun because they snuck up
tempo
behind
pra
you and
caralho,
murdered
pô.
you in a second, and there was no way to figure out what was going
Ano
on.
pra fazer uma série.
We're making a game, by the way. Hey, James.
Eu queria ser inteligente ao ponto de criar um jogo, sei lá, de ser um pica assim, nossa, esses caras aí. Olha as edições, né? Fora do normal, né? Tava aprendendo a editar, mas depois eu parei.
Since I started, I think I was the 12th employee or something back when we got started, but we've tried to stay true to those smaller studio roots.
I've been here for 16 years. There's just no reason to leave. I just like the environment here. It's very non-corporate.
I think the way we
Olha
work
que
now
pagou,
is
né?
kind of special because we don't really like hierarchy or bureaucracy, and no one is really just a manager here.
Naughty Dog has a very flat structure. We pretty much all report to the co-presidents and the game directors.
I always tell people when we hire them, just like, my job is going to be able to trust you, and that's what I want. I want just to give you something and you go with it, and I know it's gonna get done.
We believe in iteration, we believe in collaboration, and we believe in the people making the game working directly with each other.
When we have designers and artists, animators all mixed up.
Eu achei ele melhor que esse jogo aqui, melhor que o Resident Evil.
Tasks, the same characters, the same areas.
O que tu achou
Put them next
desse
to each
jogo?
other so they can communicate a lot better.
We don't have a lot of meetings because if you need something to get done, you just walk over and you talk, and then you go back to your desk and you finish it up.
And I
Qual
really
foi
like
de
that.
1 a
I
10
like
pra
when
ti?
just,
0 a 10
walk in
esse
the
jogo.
office and I see
Game.
just a designer
E da série também, né?
programmers or programmers over the
Interessante.
animators and talking to them.
Ah, o
I think
bigodinho
that's
que o pai
where
botou.
really
Maneiro, né?
magic happens.
Seu
Naughty Dog,
bigodinho
we really
fininho.
try to cultivate a culture where anybody can
criticize anybody else's work.
And we encourage people to be blunt about it and not try to sugarcoat it too much. It takes too long to be nice sometimes.
Ei, tu conhece quem trabalha com forro, não, por aqui? Ei, tu conhece quem trabalha com forro, não, por aqui?
Have a voice. We want to cut out all the bullshit if we can, making sure that people are making decisions not based on ego, but what is going to benefit the game.
When you see that people trust your opinion and that they value it, it's such a great feeling. You really feel like you're working as a team on a collaborative effort.
We want to sort of remember where we came from and you know why we were successful then, and try to continue that success now.
We make games. That's what we like to do.
Back when Uncharted 2 wrapped up and we decided that we were going to build the second team and create a new project, we kicked around a lot of ideas. One of the very earliest ideas was to go back to Jak and Daxter. It's really near and dear to us. We really love those characters in that universe, and we think that, you know, there are some interesting stories still to be told there. We started to realize that it was not going to do justice to the franchise that the fans had fallen in love with. It would be shifting it so far in a new direction that we felt that effort would be more justified in developing a new IP. Neil and Bruce came to Christoph and I and said they wanted to do a post-apocalyptic game. I think the core essence of what they wanted to do, though, was to try to tell a story about two people and how their relationship evolved over the course of the entire game.
That potential, oh wow, there is something very special about that game. This is going to be polished. Like, you're not sure if it's gonna work or not, and you have doubts. And like, should we be doing a game like that? Should we be doing a first-person shooter? Whatever. Like, you ask yourselves all those questions.
And you know, the creative director and the game director are the core of the team that have to really see eye to eye.
That's why you have that.
E o que tu acha do filme do jogo? 0 a 10.
Neil. And Neil's gonna try to push the just the story and the characters, and Bruce is going to try to push that with just the gameplay as well. And so it's kind of like those guys are just trying always to find the right balance between the two. It's a very dedicated process.
We feel that the interactive medium has an untapped potential to touch the feelings of the player. You have that connectivity, the fact that I'm actually in the world and participating in what's happening on the screen in front of me gives us some sort of advantage to feel connected with what's actually happening. At Naughty Dog, that's what we're trying to do, is pair story and gameplay together. If we can make you feel like you're actually with these characters on that journey and you're invested in those stories and those characters, then you're feeling, in theory, the same thing that they're feeling.
As the story evolved and took different shapes and different forms, the thing that was always there was Joel and Ellie. And because of that, everything kind of grew out of that relationship.
We've seen kind of that role of the anti-hero change, especially over the last 3 to 5 years, to where before it was like, you know, the thick-neck mercenary kind of guy. For this game specifically, for this story, we needed something new.
The reason we didn't want to make Ellie Joel's daughter from the get-go is because it wouldn't have anywhere to go. Of course, at that point, he'd be willing to do anything for his daughter because that's what a dad would do for his daughter. If they didn't even know each other at the beginning of the story, then we start from scratch. It's almost like the player has the same relationship to Ellie as Joel does. And we could take our time to build that relationship between these characters. And if we do it right, then the player will be feeling that same growth that Joel does. And we're kind of mirroring that emotional relationship between the two.
What are you doing?
Killing time.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
I am sure you will figure that out.
Your watch is broken.
It's exciting that Neil wrote something like this, where he's like, I don't want to make the stereotypical characters. I want to make real people in this crazy situation and these forced to make decisions that are really tough. Like, what would we be like in those situations?
I mean, we weren't consciously trying to pick male or female for characters. You just try to pick characters and just be honest with who they are. It almost doesn't matter, right? Joel's daughter could have been Joel's son. Ellie could have been a boy, and Joel might have been Tess. You could have swapped those roles, and I think the story would have still worked.
The focus on female strength, it's so unique. You get to see what's so powerful about a woman through all of these female characters, which makes this game wonderful and unique. There's a crew of Fireflies that'll meet you at the Capitol building.
That's not exactly close.
You're capable. You hand her off, come back, the weapons are yours. Double what Robert sold me.
Speaking of which, where are they?
Back in our camp.
We're not smuggling shit until I see them.
I want Joel to watch over her.
Whoa, I don't think that's the best
Ellie.
idea.
Him?
How do you know them?
I do think having a strong female character, especially like Ellie, is so rare in video games. And as a gamer, and more specifically a female gamer, it's frustrating to me because I'll see sort of the stereotypical female character where she's amazingly beautiful and huge boobs, and she's there to be either the love interest or just because they're like, well, we need to throw a chick in here.
We've seen the strong woman or we've seen the weak woman. We haven't necessarily seen the empowered woman from this kind of standpoint. And there's that beautiful scene where Joel finds her inside the house.
Ah, aquilo lá foi foda, também não tava esperando não.
Is this really what they used to
Pensava que ia curar ele com sangue. Eu achava.
You know, and to
O
be
garotinho,
met
né?
with those first world problems that we deal with every day and go, how trivial.
Não tava esperando aquilo ali também, não tava esperando que ele conseguir com sangue.
The thing that was
Ele ficou doido quando o menino morreu.
after the fact is knowing
No jogo será que ele morre?
kind of creating a female action hero in a way.
Ele já apareceu aqui no jogo ele apareceu.
To sort of be such a strong female character that is completely normal looking, regular t-shirt and jeans, and she's 14 and she is still a total badass. Is
Morre, né?
really
Vamos ver como é que ele vai morrer no jogo.
There's so few non-sexualized women in video games, especially in the main role.
Eu tô quase acabando o jogo, faltam umas 4 horas
We
só.
were proud that we were creating one. It's very complex, and without the players knowing it, she becomes the protagonist by the end of the story. And that's why she's in the front of the box, and that's why we've been promoting the two of them together so much.
Who's there? It is a dual protagonist game, and yeah, I guess I get nervous to think about it in that way.
We couldn't talk about it. In fact, in interviews we've been lying about, saying you never play as Ellie because it was so important for that to be a surprise. Sorry, journalists.
Here we go. Sorry. Hold on.
Essa parte é no filme. No...
The tone of the game was set pretty early on that we knew that we wanted to make a really grounded story. We knew that we wanted to make the player feel the sense of tension and dread
Quando não aconteceu isso aí não no
and
jogo.
go through the same emotional roller coaster that Joel and Ellie were going through.
One of the things we kind of struggled with is to say, well, if we want to really ground this world and make it so like realistic, maybe we shouldn't have anything that could be perceived as a monster. Maybe like by just having an infection that just killed people, and it's all about humans and how they deal with this post-apocalyptic society and how different people decide to survive. Maybe that would be enough. And what we realize is because we're making an action game, a lot of the storytelling happens on the joystick. And once we remove the infected, it's like all of a sudden now we can't tell the story through gameplay of what happened to the world. And that's where we kind of went back and kind of brought the infected back in, because it lets you see, once you're fighting them, the threat that people had to deal with, that otherwise would just be very cerebral and people could talk about it, but you couldn't necessarily experience it yourself. In a novel, that might work. In a game for us, specifically an action game, it didn't work.
And from there, when we start kicking around those ideas, and we're just like, what would be cool just to play?
The early inception for it really came from a BBC video we saw called Planet Earth, where they were talking about a cordyceps fungus.
This cordyceps fungus gets inside of the brain and controls these ants, and mandibles start chomping, they grow up to higher areas, cordyceps fungus sprouts out, and then it germinates.
And essentially uses them to spread its infection and take over whole colonies, sometimes wiping them out. As soon as we saw it, we were intrigued by the idea of what if it jumped to humans?
Aí vira o filme, viu? O documentário e o cara sabendo.
What would happen? How would people react? What would happen to society? As we're trying to develop the look of the infected, we went through so many different iterations. Some that looked really alien and subhuman, some that looked just essentially like zombies, and we couldn't find like an original place for them. But one of our artists just did this kind of photo mashup where he took a bunch of images of diseases or images of fungal overgrowth, and he kind of mashed it all together and he threw it on this person.
It was a very iterative process, making sure that the fungus felt properly integrated, like it was part of the body, growing out of the body.
And not just fungus growing on the head, but it's tearing the face apart, cleft down the middle, this gaping maw of a mouth with the crooked teeth.
And it's in great agony as its humanity and its brain is still somewhat functioning. Maybe you still have some human cognitive abilities or thought process back here.
This isn't some decaying corpse on the ground. This is a living thing that's going to be coming after you in the world.
The fungus is always the focal point. So you can see from a distance, oh, this guy's infected. I can tell straight away.
In fungus, they have these beautiful saturated colors, and we really like that conscious of this something so horrific that it's going to like stop at nothing. It's relentless force of death, and yet elements of it are beautiful. It's not just about gore. It's not just about everything about it being scary, because to us it's actually scarier when things on it are somewhat benign or somewhat beautiful.
It was evident that we were onto something that was quite a bit different and something that we hadn't really seen before, which was eerily human but very disturbing.
And it seemed so creepy and so unique that right away we gravitated towards it, and it's like, this is our base infected. Everything should kind of come out of this look. So once we had this idea of the face-splitting kind of look that eventually became what we called the clicker stage.
We went to great lengths to create a full biological cycle for these things.
So in the early stages, you don't actually see too many signs of the fungus surfacing out of the skin. It's kind of underneath it, like people have lumps starting to show. The eyes will be kind of cloudy or lopsided because the fungus kind of originates inside the head.
That moves to the next phase, which is the clicking phase.
And if they mess with the eyes, we end up saying, well, how do they get around? Oh, echolocation.
And they use a form of echolocation to track down their enemies.
Just like bats, or even some blind people can see by making a clicking sound, a sound that on its own wouldn't be very scary. And then to associate it with something that people in this world are very fearful of, so that as you're exploring an environment, all of a sudden you hear this click, and you're seeing everybody just get frightened, just everybody duck, everybody hushes.
Great.
The bloater is the most severe of the stages. So large pieces of the body has been replaced by these kind of fungal plates.
The fungus completely takes over the body and blooms.
They're kind of covered in things that have been growing on them. Things like moss and like little life on life kind of.
Eu já matei esse bichinho.
What the fuck is that?
When the infected feels like it's going to die, it finds like a dark corner and it becomes part of the environment.
The human elements aren't there anymore.
And then the body is gone.
They lay down and sprout and then spew spores.
And if people can breathe those spores, they become infected as well. It all had to kind of make sense of how each stage flowed from one to the other. And that's hopefully how we've created a world that you can kind of look through it and understand the science behind it and say, I could buy this, I could get into this.
Mandatory evacuation. Evacuate to where?
What do you think? Quarantine zone. See, some places got a heads up before the infection showed up. Most didn't.
Over the course of Joel and Ellie's journey through this game across America,
you find all these different societies, all these different enclaves, and you get to see how do they deal with the infected.
Without the manifestation of this infection, you can't have these people making those interesting choices.
Maneiro, né? Como é que eles criam tudo bem bonitinho, né? Bem pensado, né? escrito bonitinho, os roteiros, cidade,
The
como
world
que
we decided was
começa a
actually
vir.
its own character, really grounded with a lot of texture. What happens, after 20 years of the fall of man, when no one's taking care of anything?
This book called The World Without Us describes in detail how much fighting on a day-to-day basis we have to do to keep nature back. And once you stop doing that, how quickly nature can reclaim that. As they talk about New York and how every day they pump water out of the subway system. That system breaks down within 2 days, a whole city is flooded. And once water gets introduced, then structures collapse pretty quickly. Trees will sprout and wind will carry those seeds over and gutters get clogged. And then when it rains, water fills up and then pretty soon you have vegetation growing over there. And once you have vegetation, concrete breaks pretty easily for when there's a tree and roots breaking through that. Even some of the stuff we did on Uncharted, exploration of how temples were ruined. What if you took those ideas and put them in Pittsburgh or Boston?
And obviously right when that happened, you can imagine that being pretty terrible to look at. But you think about 20 years later, and with rainwater filling up those sinkholes and then those becoming like little marshes with lily pads in them.
We had this wonderful piece of concept art we developed really early on, and there are all of these wild animals that have escaped from a zoo and over the past 20 years have bred, and now they have herds roaming these cities. And that's something that tells you that life goes on and this world is worth saving.
Só eu já passei. Fazendo adaptação na série?
Nature reclaiming its domain once we are gone.
Legal, né? Os caras foram bem
We have another
feitinho no
level of
negócio.
OCD of the logic goes into some of these environments. Water damage seeps in, and then that creates some little moss growing on the floor, or a tree radiates energy from its base, and that over time starts to melt the snow around, and that's the reason why you'd see those like rings of leaves showing through in the snow. That gives it that extra, believability. This is pitch art. I'll try to start with an idea that conveys sort of the feel of the
Não cheguei
environment.
nessa
Something
parte
like
ainda
this,
não.
very brushstrokey, very painterly. You
Da
can
neve.
see not a lot of detail, just energy and conveying a mood. This is sort of just a conversation starter. And then this would be more of an actual space. So you start talking about, is this too tight of a space right here? Would the player even fit through there? Do we even want to include water? Those are conversations you start having a little bit later. And then it usually needs several more passes back and forth in order to be tightened up to be the experience that you would see in the final product. So, dude, I was actually trying to figure out right here, there should probably be some dead foliage.
It might be cool to see some of the dead stuff around the edges of the green, or like even spilling out into the street.
Maybe what we do is, in some of these areas, we use it as like a transition from the actual concrete to the side of the building. So like they're
Maneiro, né?
almost sitting on top of a bed of dead foliage.
Assistir,
like
fazer live
it's
de
kind of like orange
documentários, né?
brown
Também.
Sienna or something.
Ver as pessoas fazendo.
Something real cheddary.
That's how you know you're done. The end product often ends up being stronger because that bouncing back off somebody else
Não só jogando,
gives you a
assistindo o
result
filme.
that maybe you wouldn't have even thought of in the first place.
Parte também já passei.
All right. Here's the bridge. That's our way out of here.
As far as concept art goes, definitely the ultimate goal is just helping everybody as much as possible.
Me and the background artist will work together. I'll often just go to them because they've got like a really, really good like visual imagination. At some point, you came in almost like flat on. So that's kind of good because the bus station is right in your peripheral view and you're probably going to enter the bus station. You're probably not going to get lost. But it doesn't at all utilize this cool architecture here, like the bus station sign. Like that's a really distinctive silhouette and it's a really interesting sort of architectural detail. So we changed the entrance.
Look at that. Another city, another abandoned quarantine zone.
I think it's a better composition anyway. It's not so like symmetrical. And I think that was done so that this sign read better. If you didn't see the word bus on it, you might not know it's a bus station. So I think that helps.
Everything we're doing in the environments is relating back to what you should be feeling in the story or what's happening to these characters.
Oh, was that everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out. But man, can't deny that view.
Come on, this way.
When we first came up with Ellie and Joel, we had this idea in our heads of who they would be, but we didn't necessarily know the voice.
Took us a while to find our Joel, but for Ellie, I think Ashley was the second or third candidate to walk in, and right away we knew.
Yeah, you know
Why
what?
are you so scared all of a sudden?
Because I'm a coward, okay? So just get your shit. Let's get out of here.
Damn it. I'm not like her, you know.
What?
You think I'm gonna end up like your daughter?
The way she delivered the lines, the way she just embodied that character is like,
Yeah.
Ellie, there's no question about it.
I saw the character artwork and I related to her a lot. I mean, she's kind of a tomboy and she's kind of tough, and I mean, obviously I'm not 14, and I think that's the main difference between the two of us. I read the scenes and I was like, I need to play this part.
You wanna be my hero? Forget the whole bit about saving my life. Buy me a stack of these bad boys instead.
Where'd you get that?
Back your bills. I mean, all this stuff was just lying around.
And then once we had her, we said, okay, we're gonna do another round, and we're gonna have Ashley this time in the casting sessions. The chemistry of these two characters was imperative to get right.
Troy was a really interesting casting for Joel, because when you see Troy, he doesn't look like Joel at all.
You know, he's so handsome and he had like, you know, the frosty
Demora
hair
tempo pra
and
passar o jogo, né?
totally looked like
Não é tão
Final
fácil assim,
Fantasy.
não.
And so
I'm like, yeah, I don't know. He's like this tall, pretty. It didn't seem right.
I walked into the room fully aware that I was the youngest person that they were seeing for this role. There was a line that was in the audition side that says that Joel has few moral lines left to cross. And so that became the anchor point to the character.
But then as soon as he spoke, and he had the grit in his voice.
Warm, yet kind of dangerous.
And his movement is just like, you bought into it.
Why are you so scared all of a sudden?
Because I'm a big coward, okay? Now pack up your shit and let's go.
God damn it.
Pô, tá chato, vou arrancar essa porta com um tiro, cara. Porra. Eu somente deixo a porta aberta pra ficar abrindo e fechando.
You think I'm gonna end up
Tá?
like your daughter?
Lily, you are treading on some very thin ice right now.
It was Ellie and Joel.
after he read, it was just like that was it.
I've done some video games in the past, but to be handed the mantle of a franchise like this was a pretty big honor.
Is she alive?
She's alive. She's David's newest pet. Ah!
Where?
In the town. She's in the town.
You mark it on the map. It better be the same.
Essa porra foi foda.
Neil pulled me aside one day, and he said, I have some ideas. And as you're well aware, Neil is a little twisted. He came up with this character, and, I just jumped at it. It was such a departure from everything I've done
Eu
here.
não cheguei essa parte não, essa parte não cheguei ainda não, do jogo.
Name's David. This here's my friend James. We're from a larger group. Women, children. They're all very, very hungry.
To be able to put on a voice that, hopefully a lot of people won't know, won't notice that it's even me. Because we didn't want it to be Drake. Drake eating people, that's a whole nother game.
Yeah.
How did you put it? Tiny pieces.
Acho que eu não cheguei ainda.
Certain voices that I can do wouldn't fit the David's artwork, but he showed me the art, and I
said maybe it's something like this, where everything's, it's very quiet, and just, he's not really sure, and the voice can break a little.
And he just looked and goes, yeah, that's it. So I'd love to tell you, we hashed it over and we talked. No, it just, I looked at the picture and I tried something. He said, yeah.
A few weeks back, I sent a group of men out a nearby town to look for food. Only a few came back. And turns out that the others had been slaughtered by a crazy man. And get this, he was with a little girl. You see, everything happens for a reason.
Ashley, she brought humor to it.
She just has some really great comedic timing. The way she reacts to the things around the world with a little bit of sarcasm.
Ah, não gravou nada na
that
vida real, né,
teen
cara?
kind of like trying to get a rise out of you.
Now watch your step as you're going out, because it's going to be a little...
It just brought a certain levity to the story that the story needed. You didn't even realize it needed it until she started doing some of that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure your friend will be missing this tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Now, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
Whoa! How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Hold your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about. Oh, why are these all stuck together? I'm just fucking with you. Bye-bye, dude.
Throughout the course of shooting over these past couple of years, Ellie and I have kind of morphed into each other, which I know sounds so cheesy. Neil always asks, he's like, well, what would you do in this situation?
I think the most important thing that Ashley brought is a sense of capability to Ellie's character that wasn't there in the beginning.
The very first thing we shot involved her being pulled out of a car and attacked, and Joel was supposed to go save her.
It was written that Ellie sort of was just kind of watching on the side, just waiting till he was done, and I was a little frustrated because I was like, well, if this were real life, I would do something.
We did a couple takes, and at some point she walked up to me and she said, I feel like I'd hit him.
So we added in a part, like, right there off the bat, she's not just this damsel in distress. Right there, she wanted to fight back from her very first day of shooting.
We didn't have it right initially. She needs to be more capable than initially we thought she would be, and actually that made us go back and rethink combat and
Essa parte
rethink
não
a lot of
tinha
areas
não.
in the game. And now she was going to take a much more active part.
Essa parte também não tinha,
Anything
não.
that requires, a lot of body movement, we do with the actors on the mocap stage. And we try as much as possible to use our actual principal actors, use their body motion as well as their voice. We capture it all at once there on the stage.
Having the actors perform as well as being recorded at the same time was imperative to get an accurate performance. Because every time you split up the performance in any way, you lose some of that magic where they did a gesture or they delivered the line a certain way. And those things have to be in sync, or there's just something subconscious that's like off-putting about the performance when you don't do it that way.
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
It gives you the most authentic, most realistic performance, because you're actually there, not just making your own choices, but making your own choices based on the other people that are involved in that scene. And so you get this truly natural approach to things, and it shows up.
It's like theater in the round. You can do anything from any angle, and the smallest, most subtle thing we'll be able to pick up.
There's no place to hide. So you have to be as prepared as possible, because you have no idea which moments they're going to use. There are these little improv moments and, little nuances that you get that probably isn't scripted, that just comes out of play, while they're performing. That mistake that is just blossomed into a really good idea.
Did we improv on The Last of Us? Yes. Yes, we did.
Doing this was a whole lot like being 5 playing in the backyard with a stick, and this is my machine gun, and and a pine cone is my hand grenade. It's all your imagination. I'm doing the exact same shit that I did 45 years ago. I just get paid for it now. We square.
We're square.
And get the fuck out of my town.
I don't do a lot of voiceover work, so for me, it was nice to be able to work off of your other actors. I can't imagine it working in any other way.
I'd never done mocap before. I didn't know what to expect. The suits were crazy.
Yeah, the suit gave me wedgies. Like, deep wedgies that I had to pick out with my middle finger. Too much information.
Just how damn sexy I look in a motion capture suit. I look like 10-pound of sausage in a 5-pound casing in that thing, man.
Once you get past the fact that like everybody else and you look like weird clown people with these little dots and stuff, once you like give over to that, It really was pretty easy to make it just feel like you're in the moment and in the scene.
Everyone that was on this is a slam dunk. This isn't just another gig to them. And that creates a really cool energy for people to really start experimenting and playing jazz.
Floor is yours.
And action.
Fuck off! Hey!
Oh, let her go.
Don't worry, this is fixable. But I can't come with you.
Well, then I'm staying.
Ellie, I want Joel to watch over her.
Oh, no.
Bullshit, I am not
Ellie.
going with him.
I could just take her to the North Tunnel and wait for me there.
Jesus Christ.
Just cargo, Joel.
How do you know them?
You know, we craft the scene out until it has a good feel, and then we pass it off to animation to clean it up.
Real life motions don't necessarily always translate into gameplay.
There's something that's usually missing, so we have to, maybe enhance
Já
the
assistiu
gesture,
isso aí já,
or
ou Su?
enhance the shoulder movements, or a breath that you want
Ou
to be
nunca
able to
assistiu
feel, but you don't really see it, so you can't
documentário?
really feel it unless
Já
you
assistiu esse documentário?
Is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine.
I could have him lean in here a little bit more, like this.
Nunca viu nenhum jogo? Mas tu tá vendo eu jogar, não tá?
They don't necessarily have windows, so that weight of like really pushing and leaning in, that's something that we would have to accentuate.
Tá vendo eu
Give
jogar?
him a little bit more weight on that turn, or put his head down a little bit more.
There's a lot of dialogue that gets said between the two characters. We have to bring that alive through animation, and we have what we're using as gestures.
Why would they mow down all these people?
Can't let everyone in.
If you turned off the sound, you'd know that they were talking to each other. And that really helps.
Ah, tô jogando sempre,
accentuate
tô
the
quase zerando já.
relationship that you have together.
Vou sair aqui. Coisa pra caralho. Hoje à noite eu vou tentar jogar ele. Tentar zerar, tá maneiro. Tá vendo? Isso aqui que demora, essa porra aqui, ó. Criar shed histórico principal e backlet, demora pra caralho. Eu vou ter que sair. Ir na rua pegar um negócio. Mas eu vou jogar esse jogo aqui pra zerar. Mais tarde. Tentar zerar. Falta 4 horas de jogo. Eu tô na parte. Tu já viu o filme, né? Eu tô na parte que eles estão. Ele acha o menino escurinho lá acha o menino escurinho com o irmão. Indo pelo esgoto. Tô naquela parte ali. Indo naquela direção ali. Aí agora eu vou começar essa parte, entendeu? Aí vai ter aquela parte, vai ter a parte do gelo, aí vai ter a parte que ele acha o irmão dele, aí depois vai ter a parte que ele acha a menina raptada, aí depois a menina foge, acabou o jogo. Acabou o filme, né? A série. Quase no final já. 4 tópicos. Mas é 4 horas de jogo, pô. Jogo pra caralho ainda. Quero zerar ele que eu quero jogar o. Quero tirar esse jogo e botar o Red Dead, o do Red Dead 2, que é aquele de faroeste. Eu tô sem espaço, eu tenho que tirar ele. Entendeu? Eu tô tentando zerar ele o máximo, o mais rápido possível. Olha, até mais tarde, 8h30 eu tô por aí. Se pá. 8h30 eu tô por aí. Outro, tchau. Até mais tarde, se Deus quiser.